welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your unusually gaming focused on specific games, I mean to say, host Madelyn.
I'm your normal gaming host, Emma.
What the heck? And welcome to the show. Way to roast me. Can you believe it? Another 6 weeks have gone by. So it's time for us to have our 6-week side quest. Where we talk about everything that we have been playing since mid-July.
I was actually wondering if you would have that much since you've been, like, all over the place. But it sounds like you do.
I made a concerted effort to, while I don't have a particularly wide breadth of games to talk about, I do have I made a real effort to, like, play the games that I was playing a little bit to get to things that I could talk about for the show. Sometimes I worry about how the show impacts my gaming habits, to be perfectly honest. I'm like, I have to roll credits on this in time for the 6-week episode. is really something that I thought today. And I did it.
Good job.
So we'll talk about those credits that I rolled. But yeah, more of a game viewing and game events 6 weeks for me than like lots and lots of games.
Sure.
Unlike my usual, the optimal number of games to be playing at a time is 11.
Yeah. You haven't done that for a while, to be honest.
Yes. My younger days.
Back when you were spry and had the energy, yeah.
I think about how we used to be able, like, we did split screen, like, every week for, like, at least a few months back in, like, 2018. And
like
I'm
really bite-sized ones, though, to be fair.
That's true. The K-dramas have, like, grown.
Oh, split screen. I'm sorry. I thought you said side quests, and I was thinking about when we used to do, like, our save data as part of a side quest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how we
did,
I don't know how we did split screens every week.
Well, you were still in college.
Yeah, that was probably
being
it.
Exploited as an intern. Those were the days.
I can't even get a blog up every 3 months for split screen.
My ambition is this fall to get back to it. I look at my calendar, it's like, what are you talking about, Matt? Anyway, we don't need to talk about our lackadaisical blog posting. What we do need to talk about is our lackadaisical video game playing.
Yes.
So, Emma, it sounds like you have more to talk about than I do, so I'll let you go first.
I mean, I might have more to talk about. I don't know. I don't have a near reincarnation update. No updates this 6 weeks on that. And I'm sure I played a little bit, like a few sessions of Cold Steel 4 before coming home, and I've played it once since coming back between, like, hosting you and getting my apartment in order. So I really don't have much of an update on that. It continues. We're continuing.
What are the updates you're giving on the games you haven't played?
I was just going to like, when I played Cold Steel 4 again after getting back, after that long break, I played about an hour, and then I got a weird dizzy spell. So I think that the game is rebelling against me. So.
That seems right. Yeah, it's like taking over your body.
Yeah, I think so.
This is the end game of the Cold Steel series.
Soon I will become Marine. Honestly, life would be way easier for me.
You already are.
Everybody would love me. Yeah. So I guess the other small update here is I hadn't quite finished Shin Megami Tensei 4 during our last 6 weeks. So I finished that. It was fine. Me and Lucifer, my best bud Lucifer, we created a world for demons, where demons could do, and humans, where they could all just do what they want,
Dope.
So long as they have, like, the strength to do it, they can do it. Although, like, at the very end, it does, like, Lucifer's like, what if you became their king? And I'm like, isn't that sort of counter to what we were trying to do here, Lucifer? Weren't we like,
what if you became their king?
No more kings?
Only you.
I was like, come on, Lucifer. You're corrupting your morals. I also found this, like, really scary, like, clown helmet that had good stats near the end, so I had to wear it. And so I was just sort of wandering around with this terrifying, like, Joker face, which does, feels very chaosy. So,
yeah,
in keeping.
Foreshadows Joker in Persona 5.
Exactly. It doesn't really look like that. But yeah, okay.
Well, thanks for your updates on games you haven't been playing.
I had played those last two.
I know. I'm just teasing. Come on. So I'll start with my biggest one. The game that I was pushing to roll the credits on before recording the podcast today was Pokemon Legends Arceus.
So you've still got a lot to go in that game, basically.
Well, yes. I know that there is an extensive post-game. However, I've caught a lot of Pokemon, and I've rolled the credits. The credits were, man, the design on this game, it's just so bad, Emma. Why does it all have to look so bad? The credits come up, and it looks like an iMovie. The credits themselves look fine, but it's like Pokemon Legends Arceus in, Calibri. And then it, fades out. It's like, come on. Can you do a little better than that?
No.
Anyway, not that that matters. It was just, Pokemon Twitter gamer moment there for me. I'll give some overall thoughts. You're going to have to hear more about it, because I think, first overall thought, I probably will continue playing the post-game on this. It's been an engaging enough game. The theme of gaming in Talk This NYC HQ this month is numbers go up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd like to see my Pokemon numbers go up. I like to catch more Pokemon. I'd like to see my research levels go up. That is all good. I think that this game, well, as I've discussed on previous podcasts, I would like the stalking after Pokemon and catching them mechanics to perhaps be I'd love to see those get deeper and Pokemon behavior in the wild get a little bit more interesting as they seemingly continue to develop this branch of the series, right? I think that it really does capture that, you gotta catch them all feeling in a way that feels attainable, because it doesn't have a national dex. Also, I'll throw that out there too. I'm not a national dex hater or a national dex lover. I'm pretty ambivalent about it. But one reason that I will continue playing this entry is that it does feel like I could catch them all. That's also because I don't have to rely on you to play the other version of the game and trade the Pokemon to me when I know that you will not do that.
I did that once. I restarted the game twice once so that I could trade the other two starters to you.
I know. I don't mean to discount your past generosity.
My heroic efforts.
I just mean to say that you did not assist me really in doing that in Pokemon Sword, and I've not forgotten. So
I don't think you ever asked me to.
It's fine. Shouldn't have to ask.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think it does a really good job with that, and that's really the focus of this game, and so great. Fantastic. Middle of the road. Story is fine. Pokemon takes on JRPG. You do kind of battle God at the end. Gods. Sorry, it's light spoilers, but not really spoilers. It's Pokemon. Who cares? I did find, and maybe they'll appear more in this second half, there's we're sort of proto Team Rocket, right? But there's the three evil ladies, not evil like Team Rocket in the anime is evil, who run around, and they appeared sort of near the end of it, and I was like, where have you all been? I've seen you 2 times total. This doesn't have very much of an impact on me. But I liked my 2 Diamond Clan and Pearl Clan buddies. It's disappointing that my rival wasn't really my rival, but that's also fine. Okay story, right? As Pokemon games go.
I do think it would be funny if, your rival, if you had, an actual rival character, just, would show up in the wild sometimes and, swoop out the Pokemon you were trying to catch out from under you.
Yes, I, too, would like a Majima Everywhere system in Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Not necessarily fight you, just, you're about to throw your Pokeball and suddenly one sails from off screen, I think that would be fun.
That would be more or less the equivalent. One story critique. I remember noting at the beginning, because I thought it was funny, that somebody, I think the professor, said to me, nobody's ever caught more than one Pokemon before. And yet, I battled no less than a dozen people who had more than one Pokemon. What am I meant to think of this?
Maybe, like, they caught one, and their mom caught them another one.
And their dad. And they bullied someone into giving them their Pokemon? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Just seems like a continuity error to me. Anyway. I felt like I was really special at the beginning, and I didn't feel so special by the end. Cons. We won't even talk about the graphics. But we'll just leave that be. The ending kind of cutscene. Oh, I will talk about one thing about the graphics. There's one guy on the Diamond team that has, like, long hair. Mm-hmm. Right? This kind of the, like, haughty, annoying guy who thinks a lot of himself. His hand clips through his hair in every single cutscene. Every single one.
I'm immune to clipping, to be honest.
I just felt like it was, like, such an unforced error. It wouldn't have bothered me if it was my character, because of course I could have, like, 30 different hairstyles and a million different outfits, and, like, I get that maybe sometimes those are not going to be compatible. But this guy only ever moves in, like, scripted cutscenes. So, like, why is his hand clipping through his hair when he's just, like, standing there? Anyway. It's not, this doesn't, like, really affect my enjoyment of the game at all. If anything, it probably brings me extra enjoyment. So I won't complain
Maybe
too much.
he's supposed to be, like, like,
no,
holding it.
It's not like that. That would have been a great solution to that problem. It is not that.
Okay.
So that's my one graphical note. Like, the ending cutscenes where it's, like, all the, big god stuff is happening. Like, that looked pretty good. Why does this guy's hand have to be one with his hair? My biggest critique, though, and this really came into much sharper focus to me at the end as there were sort of more required battles, and as my Pokemon just got stronger, frankly, is that I feel like the battle system is not balanced in a satisfying way.
Yeah.
Some of this may just be, like, memory bias, but I think of most of, like, the typical Pokemon games as featuring, like, some tense battles, if that makes sense. Like, where you're just, like, when you're trying to catch your Pokemon, you're, like, whittling down the health painstakingly, right? Or, like, extended battles with other trainers where, like, they go on for more than one or two moves before Pokemon are KO'd, right? And something that I really noticed a lot near the end of the game, and it became particularly into play when there's sort of a penultimate battle before you fight the legendaries. And it's someone who has a bunch of psychic Pokemon. And just through, like, coincidence, most of I, like, keep these, like, 3 Pokemon in my party all the time, and I carry other ones around to make the numbers go up in the Pokédex, obviously, that I swap out. And all 3 of those Pokemon that were at, like, good fighting levels happen to be part fighting type. That's another thing. Like, every Pokemon in this game is 2 types, which you would think would be helpful, but here's my critique. I find that the not very effective, super effective damage multipliers, to me at least, seemed a little bit out of whack in this game. Basically, if you hit a Pokemon with a super effective move, they die. Mm-hmm. Like, no matter what, they are dead in one hit. It doesn't really matter if your Pokemon is a higher level and they get hit. Doesn't matter if your Pokemon, I don't know, whatever. Like, take your pick. But it just made the battles sometimes feel like too much of a game of luck. Especially when combined with the sometimes inscrutable action, like, order. Like, one time, this was not a good battle to have gotten myself into, but I was fighting all 3, because there are 3 in the evolution chain of Electabuzz now, the baby Electabuzz and Super Electabuzz, Electrawire or something. And I swear, because it, like, one of them had a higher level, they got, like, 15 moves in a row on my Pokemon that I sent out to die one after another, because it would get paralyzed, and like, it wasn't even like it's paralyzed, it can't move.
Yeah.
I didn't ever get to do an attack. So my point being that this is not a game, obviously this is a game that prioritizes its Pokemon catching, right? That's really what the game is about. It's not really about the battling. But it's a good thing it's not about the battling, because the battling, like, there's some interesting things going on there, but some of the actual experience of it is not, I don't know. It just doesn't, like, I don't like catching Pokemon where I have to battle them and then I have to catch them. I avoid that at all costs. It's just, like, not as satisfying, not as fun. So I look forward to playing more of the post-game and continuing to catch more Pokemans and that kind of thing. My final critique, and this is not just this game, this is the company for introducing so many of these freaking Pokemon over the course of all the generations. Why do so many of these Pokemon have evolutions where it's like, it has to evolve with Remoraid in the party. It evolves when it's snowing
To
at
be fair,
night.
I feel like that is Arceus exclusive stuff.
Not all of it, but some of it.
Yeah. Like, I feel like Arceus has, like, a higher proportion of weird evolution requirements than the traditional Pokemon game.
Definitely a higher proportion, but I think some of that might be that they chose a lot of those Pokemon to include.
Sure.
Because every game has always had the, like...
Yeah.
You know, the one where you have to turn the DS upside down or whatever. But this one, it's like, sometimes I'll, like, have the Pokemon in my party forever, and I'll finally be like, click my boyfriend, look up when, like, this Pokemon evolves, and he'll be like, you have to use this move 20 times in Agile style. It's like, literally, how would I have ever done that? And in an age of no strategy guides, it's like...
Well, the strategy guide is your phone.
Right. I mean, I'm glad that the Pokemon Company and IGN have, like, an exclusive agreement to have these, like, inscrutable evolutions so they get the ad revenue. That's the real, like, behind-the-scenes developer.
I don't think
game
so.
Site
I don't think so.
Anyway, that's my Pokemon Legends Arceus overview. More to come, no doubt. But I'll slow down my playing of it a little bit. I've been playing it quite a lot over these past few weeks. And I think I'm ready to get some other stuff in the rotation and scale this back a little bit.
You know, I really do wonder how guides, like, do they email, like, the Pokemon Company and be like, hey, tell us, like, what evolutions are? Or do they just have to try things until they get it forever? I imagine it's probably a combination for something like 20 times in Agile style, because, like, how would you ever figure that out?
And, like, how would you know to be counting that from the beginning?
That's the thing, is, like, how would you know, like, oh, that was the 20th time I used this move in Agile style, and this, you know, you're just, like, taking extensive tally marks as you play, which maybe they are, I don't know.
That seems wild, though. As a guide writer, don't you already have, like, 10,000 things? Like, who would ever agree to be a Pokemon guide writer? Right?
Apparently guides writers get paid a little better than most other games journalists for the large time investment, I guess. I don't know. It does feel like you've got to have some kind of relationship with the company on games like this. But then it's like, who has those relationships? And does everybody else just copy it from the first person to post it? Yeah. I'd be interested to know more about the behind the scenes of that. Maybe I'll Google it after the episode. Back over to you. All right. The next game I played and finished was Omori. Omori is like a modern RPG Maker game. So I think we talked about like Yume Nikki before, and stuff like Ebe and Angels of Death, and there's lots of these different like things made in RPG Maker, which is an engine, like an easy accessible engine that you can make games in. And so there was like this large period, especially from Japanese developers, that would make a lot of stuff in RPG Maker and just sort of release it for free, and then people would translate it into English, and then people would play it, and it was like a cult scene, right? So Omori is in the style of like RPG Maker games from that sort of era, I guess, as well as stuff like Earthbound, which is also like RPG Maker game core in a way, although I don't think they made it in RPG Maker. Maybe, Nintendo, who knows what Nintendo did.
An RPG Maker Vania, I think is the word you're looking for.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. So it's about like a boy who's like confined himself in his house. He's a hikikomori. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he like in his house he makes up like this sort of dream world that he explores during the night. So it's sort of split between these real life segments where you're awake in the real world and your dream segments where you're going through this like imagined world that he's created and is using to like cope with a traumatic event that happened to him in his past. So it just came to consoles, so I got it for its console release. And I enjoyed it. It was definitely an RPG Maker type game, for all the good and bad of that. Which I tend to find those games like interesting, and you can tell that like they feel personal, right? Because it's usually like a small team or just one person making it. But it also has sort of like the obtuse, like, how do I solve this puzzle? Like sort of adventure game, like throwing things against the wall until something works,
Mm-hmm.
or like checking all these different areas until something works. And like a really good sense of like wackiness and style and like imaginativity, but also maybe getting a little bit too dark for its own good. Is the stuff I tend to notice in these games, for my opinion, at least. But I really enjoyed it. It's really well made. The art style is really super charming. The battle system is like predicated on emotions, so you can make either your enemies or your party members feel sad, happy, or angry of different intensities. And each of these have like a type advantage against each other, and also have an effect on your stats. So like when you're angry, your attack is higher, but your defense is lower. Or when you're happy, you have a lower hit chance, but a higher crit chance, for instance. And, there's cute animations that go along with what emotion you're feeling. Or scary animations, depending on how intensely the person is feeling that emotion. So yeah, it is a fun thing. I'm glad I played it. I know it was really popular. I saw it on my Twitter feeds when it first came out on PC. So I felt like I knew now. Like I know now. I'm in with the in crowd, I guess. Yeah. Plus some great music. I added it to my endless soundtrack playlist. Another like 10 songs. So soon it will be fully endless.
Nice. Well, time for the podcast games segment for me. I'm realizing, like, what is the third set of games? I played Back 4 Blood, I played Lego Star Wars. I must have skipped the one before that, but I can't remember what it was.
I think you did skip it, but I don't remember what it was either. I'll pull it up for you. Hang on.
I appreciate that. Anyway, I've not played much more of Back 4 Blood or Lego Star Wars since starting them. They're both games that, like, in theory I will play more of, and maybe now that I'm scaling back Pokemon a little bit, I'll have more time for them. Like, my boyfriend and I enjoyed trading off on Back 4 Blood. Maybe we'll take the difficulty up one notch so that it can be clear that he's better at the game than I am.
Yeah.
But, again, as we talked about, go back and listen to the show from last week. But as we talked about, pretty good, pretty mindless. So might play a little bit more of that just to, like, check off that box, right? And we'll definitely get back to Lego Star Wars because it's a classic local co-op thing. But I'll just register, the game is too big. Part of the reason that I've not gone back to is it's overwhelming. This new Lego Star Wars is overwhelming. The hub worlds, I don't want that. I don't want these hub worlds.
I think you can mostly ignore the hub worlds if you want, though.
I know you can, but that's going to be hard for me. It's hard for me to see all these little side quests I can do and not try to do them. Not try to collect. I could also go through and not try to destroy every little single thing I see to collect all the Lego studs, but I'm not going to do that either.
Of course.
So I think, I gotta get my head on straight. You're right. I gotta ignore those hub worlds a little bit more. And it was fun to play. It's good and fun to play. I just think something about the Lego games, they aren't games that I can play for a long stretch at a time. And I'm not quite sure. I don't know if you feel this way. I mean, not like when's the last time
I
you
don't
played
think
a
they're
Lego
supposed
game?
to be. They're games you play for fun, for like short sessions with your friends or your family. This
wasn't a critique, to be clear. It's just like, yeah, they start to, by the end of a short to medium length play session, start to feel like a little bit like, I'm ready to stop.
That's why I feel weird that they like made it into an actual game. Because like, what's the point?
Yeah, I know. It's like, why? Who wanted this?
Who wanted like combos and like whatever?
I can't even figure out how to use the combos, to be frank. So, so again, it's like everything I've enjoyed the game. It's just like, it just feels like a little too much. But one of these days we'll like get into the rhythm of it. Part of it is that like the last time I was playing Lego Star Wars with like more regularity, I had seen like 5 out of the 6 movies. I had seen any of the movies in the past like 5 years. So some of it is just a little bit like, I'm not quite the target audience for this anymore.
Have you seen 5 of the 9 movies?
Yeah, I've seen the whole original trilogy, and I've seen 1 and 2.
Oh.
I think I have seen part of 7, but it was on the couch at home, and I think I slept through a good chunk of it. Mm-hmm. Which, to be clear, is not really a critique of the movie. It's just how I like to watch movies at home.
Yeah, I think I've only seen 4 movies.
That's fair. I don't think, what did you miss? Like, Attack of the Clones?
I don't think I've seen any of the prequel movies, and I only saw the first of the sequel trilogy.
So, take our critiques of the Lego Star Wars series writ large with a grain of salt, I guess. But I'll say one more time. Take away the dialogue. What are you doing? Bring back my mime scenes, please.
Yeah.
I don't know why Lego Star Wars turns me into like a whiny brat, but
it's your gamer. It's your gamer trigger.
Exactly.
Your gamer switch, let's say, it turns on gamer mode, where you must whine about something.
Well, your turn to whine.
The other games were Stalker and Rune Factory, which you didn't play anything that week.
Right. I thought about getting Rune Factory, and then I saw that it was bad, and I was like, I'm not doing this.
The other game I finished these past 6 weeks was Stray. I played Stray during like last week. It's like a 6-hour game, so it's pretty short. Although honestly,
6-hour game.
Yeah, honestly, it probably could have been like half an hour to an hour shorter. I think, but whatever. So Stray is you're a cat. And when you get separated from your cat family, when you fall down a hole and find yourself in the Sealed City, which is like this city that humans made for themselves a really long time ago, and like because the outside was so inhospitable, so they had to make themselves like shelters. But now humans have long died out, and it's occupied with companions, which are like robot creations that they made to help them out, and have now, developed personalities and like mimicked human culture to a certain extent. I can't remember what episode we were talking about where I was like, man, media just has ignored like the pandemic, right? Like Stray is like the first game I've played that's like, oh, okay, if you played this, you'd be like, I bet this came out in the 2020s. Because it does feel like a lot of like what happened to the city is predicated on like the current events and current concerns and current worries, So, for, a game where you're a cat. Anyway, you learn all of this because you quickly find B12, who is this little, drone thing, or rather, you bring his consciousness into a drone, so that he can follow you around and, help translate things and guide the cat through different tasks. Because I imagine when they were making the game, maybe they were like, okay, just a cat at first, and they were like, the cat wouldn't do things, though.
Yeah.
The cat wouldn't accomplish, missions.
Cats are incapable of mission accomplishments.
To be fair, there's plenty of still, catting around. You can knock things off of,
Good.
of edges. You can sleep in various places. You can meow. You can scratch things. No catnip. You can drink water, though, whenever you find water.
Probably wouldn't like catnip.
You can jump onto tables where people are doing things and ruin it for them. Cat-like
You
things.
can do that in a lot of games where you're not a cat.
But the cat doesn't do it out of malice. The cat just does it because it needs to get on the table,
That's an interesting thing to say. If the cat doesn't do it out of malice, but do you, the player, do it out of malice?
Personally, I didn't, because I did not realize that they were playing, chess.
Oops.
When I jumped on the table. And then I did it, and they both, freaked out, and I was like, oops, sorry, companions. Didn't mean to do that. But yeah, it was fun.
Do you feel like, I have to throw in one comment that's related to Lego Star Wars. Do you feel like C-3PO and R2-D2 ruined potential, droid names forever?
I don't know.
Must all droidy robot companions be some combination of letters and numbers?
Maybe, although that's just it's B12 because that's what it says on the drone, right? So, we've always used letters and numbers as, identification markers for things that don't have names. But I don't know if, using that in popular media for names came from C-3PO and R2-D2. But in this case, it's it's the B12 model, basically, so.
Anyway, continue.
It was fine. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was a little scarier than I thought it would be. I found some of the action-y stuff to be frustrating, especially since I thought occasionally that the checkpointing system was mean. Just too far back from where it was. I got really stuck near the end, to the point I had to look up a video of what to do, and it turned out that the AI that I was with just hadn't done its specified action, so I had to reload the checkpoint, and it set me back a little while, and I had to do it again. And thankfully, she did open the door like she was supposed to, the second time around, but it was a little ugh. Especially near the end where I was like, isn't this game over already? But it was good. You play cat. Cat is a cat. Does cat-like things. Would
you have liked a similar game starring a dog better?
You see, I do feel, as much as I like dogs, you couldn't make a game about this with a dog. Cats just have more leaping ability and balance,
You say that. I watched a tiny dog leap up a step thing that was twice its height the other day. Dogs can leap. They just aren't as cunning about it.
But can they balance on things that are small?
Probably not. Look, yeah. I'm not saying taking Stray and palette swapping it for a dog, right? I'm just saying a similar idea of game.
Sure, yeah. I won't say no to a dog game. I would not. You can get the cat killed in Stray, and I feel like I didn't like that with the cat, and I wouldn't like it even more with the dog. So there's that.
That's tough. Well, let's see. Really, the 6 weeks was marked by a lot more game watching than game playing for me, I think. Because I was visiting family and on vacation and whatnot. So obviously, while visiting the Talkless Apprentices, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can I call them that? Watched a lot of Genshin Impact.
Right.
Which, I don't know, maybe I missed the boat. Maybe I should have gotten really into Genshin Impact when we did the podcast.
They're releasing their 3.0 update.
It's never gonna happen. It's too late. It's never gonna happen for me.
You could pick up one of their other games.
Imagine saying you could pick up another game when Genshin Impact is there.
They're releasing, like, a straightforward, like, action game. These are both gacha, I'm pretty sure, still, but one that's more action combat-y, and a turn-based one. So
they're really coming for Fire Emblem Heroes, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So watched a fair bit of that. Watched Emma play some stuff at home, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You played some Fire Emblem Warriors with me.
I did. I was going to throw that in there. I played some Fire Emblem Warriors. Seems like maybe you're going to talk about this, right? But seems like it handles the more than one player playing at the same time better than the original Fire Emblem Warriors, which was my major critique of that game. So I probably will get it at some point. When frustration levels are higher in the home, and we really need to be like mowing down large groups of enemies, that'll be the time for Fire Emblem Warriors. Speaking of Fire Emblem, Click My Boyfriend has finally started Fire Emblem Three Houses. After years of saying to me, oh, I don't know, it doesn't look that interesting to me, it just doesn't grab me. He started it while we were visiting Emma so that we could entertain our host at her request. Not at her request. She would never request anything when she's the host. The guest has to decide on everything. But I think he was not grabbed by it in those first few hours that he was with you. And then he got back here and played some more. And now it's like he's playing it now.
Yeah. I do feel like it takes a little bit, Three Houses especially, to be like, oh wow, look at all the ways the number can go up, you know?
That is what he continues to say.
Because
numbers go up.
There are so many ways the numbers can go up in Three Houses.
I still think he doesn't totally understand all of them, but he's picked it up a little fast. He's picked it all up faster than I expected him to, given that it was only a few years ago that he didn't understand that dots meant side quests. So he's doing better. He's getting attached to some of his. He's playing Edelgard with the Black Eagles, so he's getting attached to some of his characters. Named his character in the grand tradition of Talkless folks McLady.
Yeah.
He does not acknowledge that Byleth is the canon name.
Right.
McLady, all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he's enjoying the Professor Simulator.
Yeah. I'm sure it's exactly like this.
Yeah. You're just like, study this, and the numbers go up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've told him that I think the reason that he couldn't tell me, I asked him so I could report it on the show and just to Emma, like, what do you think finally made it like click for you? And he couldn't really report what it was. But I think it's that he will soon be on the job market, and just hunting for jobs means that you have to play Fire Emblem Three Houses.
I think that's true. Yeah, it's
like,
a good job hunting game.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of accomplished feeling while you are facing incredible rejection from all sides.
Don't say that. Something I have noticed about the game, I think I noticed this while I was playing it, but I had forgotten about it because it's been several years, is that unlike Lego Star Wars, which you want to put down after half an hour, you can't get anything done in half an hour.
No.
In Fire Emblem Three Houses.
No.
And it's like built like, and that's a problem because Click My Boyfriend's been playing like 3 hours at a time in the evenings. But it's just like, anytime you start a new thing, it's like, all right, 80 minutes later, here we go. But he also beat for Emma Astro's Playroom, which has become a bit of a meme for us. Great game. Game of the year. I only have one more.
You only have one more? Okay.
I mean, it comes with a chunky story, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, let me do a chunk of them then. Well, I've been continue playing Fire Emblem Warriors. I haven't made that much progress on it. I was trying to avoid too much plot while I was playing it for you, since Josh had just started 3 Houses. And I have not progressed the plot that much more. But I have pretty much filled out, like, Blue Lion's exclusive, unit supports now. So I'm feeling good about that. I feel like once that's all maxed out, I can kind of blow through the rest of the story, and go from there. Still, like, it's got a lot of stuff I like, but it's not a mainline Fire Emblem game. It really just makes me want a new Fire Emblem game, or they could just put the old ones on Switch. They could just do anything. And I would take it. I would like to play the Ike games very much.
I like Ike.
I like Ike.
I like Ike.
I would like Ike. And so they could do that. I also, just sort of inspired by that, I went back to my Merciless classic Silver Snow playthrough, and where I was on the last map and just had been stuck. And I beat it. I beat the last route. So now I've officially completed all 4 routes of 3 Houses, which is very cool.
As we've established, the only way for Emma to beat hard bosses is for me to come to visit.
It's true. Yeah. Before the next Kingdom Hearts games comes out, like the next main one, Kingdom Hearts 4, you should come over here and I'll try to do the last, like, 3 bosses that I have left in Remind.
Yeah. Good.
But yeah, it seems like, you really just have to get lucky on Merciless, the last one, because the last boss has, like, just a constant 20% crit chance. And most times I just get critted to death, and I run out of divine pulses, and then I have to start over again. But I only had to reset because of a crit once this time, so I just got very lucky with that percentage, which was good. And now I feel a sense of emptiness in my soul.
Well.
The other game I've been, I have one more that is very short that I can do after your big story. Well, I'll put that here, and I'll put the main game that I've been playing at the very end. That makes more sense.
Good idea.
I picked up the demo for the Diofield Chronicles, speaking of feeling empty from Fire Emblem, which is like a real-time tactical combat thing, where you're, like, part of this mercenary unit, or you've just joined this mercenary unit, and your little subunit is, like, making moves for your own sake, as well as helping out this mercenary, the bigger picture as well. So they're very British, and the story is not terribly exciting, but the combat's fun. It's like, you tell your units to move places, and they move places, and then they sort of can auto-attack a unit. But if you, like, position, like, one in front of them and one behind them, back attacks do more damage, and there's skills, and summons, and all these sort of different things that you could think of during the time. So it's sort of like faster-paced Fire Emblem, right? Because of the real-time element to it. As opposed to, like, waiting through each turn. You're just sort of going, until you win, basically. I'm not hooked on the story so far, but there's more of the demo to go. I don't know if I'll pick this up at launch unless it really does something to grab me before I'm finished with the demo. But that shows I'm starved for strategy games. I would like them. I want them.
Make more strategy games for Emma.
I mean, really what I want is Fire Emblem. Like, I played Triangle Strategy, and that wasn't Fire Emblem, and this isn't Fire Emblem.
Make more Fire Emblem for Emma.
Tactics Ogre is getting a re-release in November. Maybe that will be Fire Emblem. for me.
Make it before Emma calls herself a tactics ogre.
Very funny.
It is very funny. Okay, I forgot. I've played more Professor Layton. A couple more hours of Professor Layton. Gradually winnowing my way to the end. Shocker! The policeman is a bad guy! Professor Layton ahead of its time. I've, once again, my thoughts are the same, so I won't bore anyone. But just in case anyone was really updated, I am still working my way through it. I look forward to finishing it so I can delete it from my phone and clear up that gigabyte of storage space, because my phone really needs it. I've deleted all sorts of key apps because it is full, but not Professor Layton. I'm pushing forward on Professor Layton.
You should clear out your photos.
Well, yes. I finally splurged on paying Google for some storage, so I will now be able to clear out my photos because I've backed them up. Anyway, here it is. The big reveal. After whole minutes of intense planning and scouring the internet, I am the proud owner of a PlayStation 5 and Horizon Forbidden West bundle.
Yeah!
Woo! Here's the story, so that you too can be the proud owner of a Horizon Forbidden West and PlayStation 5 Disc Edition bundle. Here we go. Be on vacation. It's late. You're basically half asleep because it's been a long day and you've done a lot of vacation things. Your partner's in the bathroom getting ready for bed after both of you have fallen asleep on the bed and had to wake up and be like, we have to turn off the lights and get ready for bed. Great. Have I set the scene?
Yeah.
You're browsing your cell phone. You notice that The Verge has an article from 4 p.m. this afternoon, it's now approximately 11:30, saying there was a PlayStation queue. Remember that you signed up for the PlayStation queue like last week because Emma was like, you can't be whining about not having a PlayStation 5 if you don't even try.
Yeah.
And you got sick of hearing that. So you finally signed up for the queue. Be like, what the heck? Why didn't I get an email about the queue being open? I guess I'll check the website. Check the website. The bundle is in stock. You can't, or rather it says add to cart. And you think, this can't be real. You add it to the cart. It says you have to sign in. You sign in. You add it to the cart. It's still there. You get all the way to the cart. You say, click with boyfriend. Should I buy a PlayStation 5? He goes, huh? You say, should I buy a PlayStation 5? He goes, yes, yes. And that's the story of how I spent $600 while I was already on vacation, spending a bunch of money. But I am now the proud owner of a behemoth of a PS5.
The Horizon Forbidden West bundle has been surprisingly in stock the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't know what's up. They wanted people to be happy before they were like, everybody but Americans are going to pay more.
Yeah, probably that, honestly.
They're like, last chance. If you didn't get one these past few weeks, you will pay more. No excuse. So yeah, we're doing it. Emma has hers vertically like an art piece. We've done ours horizontally like a console. So now my whole entertainment center is full of Mama PlayStation, Papa PlayStation, and Baby PlayStation.
I literally don't have a place to put a horizontal PS5.
I mean, that's fair. I thought it was going to be too thick to fit in my little console guy, but it wasn't. It did fit. And yeah, would you believe, so Judgment does not have an automatic PS5 upgrade, which is a little bit like, I mean, I get it. It came out way before the PS5, so like, whatever. But would you believe that the game loads a lot faster and runs a lot better on ye new PlayStation 5 than my old and unsure if it still wants to be a console PlayStation 4? Who would have suspected?
Shocked.
Shocking. So this is also like, we're tempted to go back to Ollie Ollie World, right? Downloaded that. It's like, a fresh start. But now that Sony, the great Sony overlords, have chosen to give me Yakuza 7 for free, I do feel a renewed sense of urgency to finish Judgment. So I've been playing more of that. The problem with the renewed sense of urgency to finish any RGG game is that as soon as you have that renewed sense of urgency, you also get very into like baseball and drone racing and stuff. So I can't say I think I have advanced the story in the past 6 weeks in that I've learned more about why my boy, I shouldn't call him my bro, that means something, right? My boy Kaito-san got expelled. What?
Just going from bro to my boy is very funny. I don't know why.
You know, I could mean Kyodai, right? So, anyway. So I have advanced that. I think I've learned more about that. But I'm also like, man, it's amazing how much easier baseball is once you pay the guy to give you a shiny golden bat. I was like, how am I ever going to get through any of these challenges? Now it's like, I do it in my sleep. So everybody in baseball should get a golden bat, basically. And yeah, I just like, all of the mini games are just like, just dumb enough that it's like, yeah. Drone racing scratches that pocket circuit itch. Might as well. So hopefully, not to time too much of my gaming to the side quests, but you all know that's how I work. Hopefully by the time we hit the next 6 weeks in gaming episodes in, mid-October, I'll have wrapped up Judgment. I do also, I'm gonna be, like, I have, like, a little break these next 2 weeks, but I'll have, like, a bunch of, like, going uptown and downtown kind of work trips over the course of the early fall. I was going to ask for Switch game recommendations. I realized that I actually don't think I can in good conscience take the Nintendo Switch away from Click Click Boyfriend when I will be out working in the evenings. So I was sort of thinking, like, I'll play a bunch of Nintendo Switch going uptown to the theater and then back down to my apartment. But I actually realized I cannot do that. Or he'll like build a fort at home or like something. I don't know. So you
should play a lot of Professor Layton instead.
Yeah, I have to finish Professor Layton. You're absolutely right. My phone has the battery life for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Judgment still good. The cop stuff, or not the cop stuff. The detective parts of the game are bad. They're just bad.
Yeah.
I like the structure it gives to the side quests, and like we had a fun time figuring out who ate the cake in the office, right? Like I like the fun structure. The actual detective stuff they should get rid of.
Yeah.
Close it out. Last game. That was my detective
so the
segment,
main game,
by the way. Did that very much on purpose.
Yeah. Uh-huh. What does that mean?
Professor Layton and Judgment.
Oh, I see. Yes, that was definitely on purpose.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
The main game I've been playing these past 6 weeks is Live Alive.
I want it to be called
The
Live
remake.
Alive so bad. I think that's so much better.
I'm just copying it from the Nintendo Direct where it was announced, where the announcer goes, Live Alive, coming to Nintendo Switch.
That's probably right.
You know?
If the Nintendo Switch announcer says it, it's probably canon, but...
Yeah, it's so Live Alive is a remake of a classic NES or SNES, one of those RPG that was never localized, but was very influential on games history, from stuff in Japan to even stuff like Undertale, right? So they have remade it using like the Octopath Traveler style, which is another game that takes clear inspiration from Live Alive. So they've taken like it's 2D sprites, but with like 3D sort of environments and lighting effects and stuff. It's HD 2D style or whatever they're calling it. So Live Alive is like a series of short stories, I guess. They come together in the end, apparently, but I haven't gotten there yet. There's like a final chapter that involves all the characters. But so there's like, let's see, there's prehistory, Imperial China, the Wild West, the end of Edo Japan, the modern day near future, and far future. So there's 7 initial protagonists that each have their own story that you play through. And each of their stories have, like, their own, like, gameplay gimmicks, sort of. They all have, like, grid-based, turn-based combat as their base, right? Like, so you move around a grid, and you have a charge meter, but like an ATB gauge above you. And when that's full, you can use an attack, and it has like a certain like range and stuff. That sort of grid-based combat. But they also have like secondary things. So like in the Wild West, you have like a time limit where you run around this town finding things that can be used as traps, and then giving those to the villagers to set traps for bandits that are coming to invade. So you have to like find everything within a certain amount of time, and also make sure that you give everything to the villagers so that they can get things done before the bandits come. So that's like the main gameplay of that, is setting traps for the bandits versus like combat. I'm playing Distant Future right now, which has had no combat thus far, but is like sort of, I guess, survival horror. There's like a behemoth roaming the ship, and whenever you see it, you just have to run in the opposite direction and get to another room before it catches you, or else it's a instant game over. So it's sort of like a scary one, I guess. Let's see. Modern present day is just a fighting game. Like, it sets you up with, like, a fighting menu, and you go through, like, 6 different opponents and learn their moves, and to become, like, the world's greatest fighter. It just looks like Street Fighter, like, the menu. And it's a bunch of ones like that. It's super charming. Like, none of these are like, oh my god, you know, transcendental, life-changing experiences, but they sort of take a lot of, like, familiar things, either familiar because people have done it since then, or familiar because, like, the near future is just, like, a big, like, tokusatsu Power Rangers type reference with a little bit of, like, Akira thrown in. So it's just, like, a range of pop culture references from around the time this was being made, or a little before the time this was made, which is just, it's very charming. I quite like it, and because they're just like in bite-sized chunks, it never like stretches to the point where I get sick of it, right? It just is able to tell its very short little story in its very short amount of time, and it works, and then you're moving on to something totally different the next time. Which, I don't know, it is very fun that way.
I'm gonna steal that structure for all of our Talk This mashups moving forward.
Yeah.
Just totally dodge the assignment.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you can see, like, where Octopath Traveler, like, drew inspiration with having, like, a bunch of different stories, but this is just set up a lot better because they're totally disconnected from each other, I think. And it's confident to make like something that feels like a complete experience while having like a whole bunch of different things in it. I don't know, I would like to see more games that are just like a bunch of different vignettes. It scratches sort of a similar itch as like the second Voice of Cards games I talked about, like it being like a couple of different short fairy tales that your characters just happen to sort of be a part of, that feel different from each other in that way, and it's just a nice structure. I don't know. Maybe games aren't too long. Maybe they should just make it into segmented chapters.
Games not too long. Games need to be 7 games.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm on the last of the first 7, and then I know there's another scenario that you do, and then I know that there's a group scenario to finish it off at the end. I can sort of see what it's going to be. There's always some sort of being called Odio or Od or Odeo or whatever, that's like the final boss at the end. So I'm thinking that's probably like some sort of like historical spirit of like hatred or something, that they're going to have to like go defeat in the end.
So you're saying, let me get this right, that you're going to have to kill a god in the end.
Yeah.
That's shocking. Who could have guessed?
Okay. All right.
I'm just teasing.
Sometimes he's a giant bird mech, okay? So.
I do imagine that is what God looks like, so that tracks. Well, does that close out? Does that close it out for you this 6 weeks?
Yes, that closes out all of my games.
Did you watch any of Gamescom?
I did. Nothing very exciting, honestly.
Tales from the Borderlands 2.
Yeah, but like written by Gearbox.
I don't know if you've listened to this.
No offense to the mad funny Borderlands enjoyers, but I'm not confident in their ability to write a narrative game. That's all.
I'm still gonna play it.
I will wait on it, is what I'm thinking.
I'm still gonna consider. I mean, with anything with me, when is the last time I bought a game at launch? I'll tell you. Every Kingdom Hearts game, but that's it.
Yes.
Well, listeners, what have you been playing these past 6 weeks? Anything good? And have you played any of the games that we've been playing? Are you about to run out and get a PS5 now that I've told you my foolproof method for getting a PlayStation 5 cannot be beat? Go to a B&B in Maine and you too will get a PlayStation 5. I guarantee it. Well, if you have thoughts on any of those things or anything else about the show, you should hit us up on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games that are in the hat for our main editions, and read our blog, which we do update sometimes, despite what you would believe from the first part of the podcast. Features long-running series, Clickbait Boyfriend, Split Screen, and Emma's monthly blogs, or however often Emma decides to post blogs.
I will get back to it in
She's
September.
Taking a summer break.
July and August were just
There's
rough for me.
nothing wrong with a summer break. Finally, though, if you enjoy the show, why don't you subscribe? We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Podcasts, anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find Talk This. So subscribe so you never miss an episode on Sundays. Next week, listeners, even though we record the episode live on Sundays at noon every week, something about the recording schedule has felt a little wonky in my brain, and I do not remember at all, even more so than usual, what our games are next week.
We are talking about Ark the Lad and Mario Strikers Battle League.
Right. So I'm going to have to get the Kiki Mario game.
Apparently.
Well, I look forward to it. I look forward to that indeed. So listeners, tune in for that next week. In 2 weeks, it's my Split Screen. Knowing me, it'll be like
side quest.
Do I say goodness gracious? That really brings it back full circle, doesn't it? It's my side quest. Knowing me, it'll be like back to school games when the leaves are changing, or something like that. Honestly, like games schools might be interesting, but I can't do that. I have to pick something that's not like, I can't just be like, the way I pick my side quest is like, what day is it?
Wednesday games.
It would always have to be Sunday games. Every day. So look forward to those upcoming episodes. It's going to be great as always. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. That's all, folks. Emma, you gotta sign off.
This week, I hope that your cat is nice to you.